Adams. Okay, I don't know where she went. Anything else? You can think about matter. I've got three things up here, so everything's made of matter.
Okay.
Atoms, I said the smallest form, but it's some of the building block. I guess building block would be better.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I meant by take subspace all around us.
Is the building block. It takes up space. Anything that has mass takes up space. So type in those three things. Then click submit.
And how much of the discussions were the bonus extra credit?
It depends. Like this, I'll probably give 3 points for. Usually it's the number of questions. All right, so I just want to review a minute about how to go and get to your grades. So when you click on grades, if you look here, here's test student. Test student has quite a bit of missing stuff. I don't
Got a 63
I don't go in and set
missing scientific notation.
Okay. Hold on. I don't set my test student for missings to be zeros, but if it's you should have a 0 there. If it's set for missing. If it's like this and doesn't have a missing, it may have a dash here, and that means it's missing. I just hadn't gone in and chose missing yet. If there's no grade here, and it's a dash, it hasn't been turned in. If you have a T, like right here is a text box. Most of my other stuff should give you a little piece of paper, icon of a paper when you turn it in. So anything that you have that doesn't have a grade or has a 0 and there's a number here, you have until February 12th to get that turned in for credit. The only thing I don't like about the way Canvas has grades set up, you can't click here and get to that. You have to, I would pay attention to the date. So like if you needed to go back to this, notice it's January 14th. You'll have to go to modules and look for where January 14th is, which would be week 2, and look in January 14th and see which one of those that you were going to miss. And notice notation's not here, so I'm going to look and see where it is so that I can find. It looks like I moved it, even though I didn't change the date. So you may, once in a while, you may have to scroll until you find it. So it's way down here. Notice it says the 14th. I forgot to change it to the 20th. So you may have to do a little searching for it that way. But that's where you can always go to grades to see what's missing. Before we get into today's lesson, we've, I'm going to close up week 3. I'm going to close up week 4 for a moment. I've added a module here called Plasma Games. We've gotten a grant for this program here that deals with physical science. I need to see if I can get you to be able to create the account. So if you click on create the account, you can just look up here. You don't have to, and I'll step you through it. Well, get out of student view and I'll step you through it. You guys are going to use this code that's in purple that I have up here. So what I need you to do is to go to play.plasma.games/login. Plasma dot. Let me see. See, that is not how it.
Plasma play plasma
Yeah, but it's not coming up to what it's supposed to be. All right, you're going to click on Meet an Account. There we go. Click on Student. And I want you, your username needs to be the first part of your email. So up into the @ symbol, put that in for your username. Verify the username. The classroom code, you're gonna put capital H, lowercase c,
Yep.
lowercase u,
Yep.
capital T,
Yep.
number 3,
Yep.
capital E, capital H, capital M. Then for password, use your email password. In case you forget it, I can always give it to you.
So when will we log in with the public to?
Yeah. I guess, I don't know, but this is all. And then you're gonna have that thing, you have to type in those letters. Make sure that's a capital T though. It has to match, believe me, I've gone through. Yeah, let's see. What?
Type in TES.
Oh, that's a 6.
That's a 6.
Yeah, that's why I don't like these. Then you'll click on create student account. Now, you can just click save for the password if you want. Why does it say join the classroom?
You gonna do it anyway?
Okay,
Can you do it?
it says welcome back user. Okay, there's your, okay, that's fine. All right, so let's do that. Yeah, let's enter it again. Capital H, little c, little u, capital T, number 3, capital E, capital H, capital M. Uh-huh.
Definitely always work out.
Okay, good. Now, what I want to do is I want to see what happens. All right, so what this is, I can't really show it up here. This is kind of a video game type thing, and it is full of physical science content. So you kind of learn as you go. And I don't want us to play anything yet because I'm learning what to do. I just wanted to make sure I could get a student enrolled. And this may be what we'll be doing on Fridays. Will be, you'll have a certain amount to do. I've just got to figure out how to assign what you need to do. But I'll let it load up and see what it is. So at some point, Ariana, if you can go, when you are not on a hotspot, go into modules and go down to Plasma Games. And here, you're going to use the purple one for the code. You'll follow these in directions, except you'll go straight here. You will not get this picture here. You'll go straight here, and you'll click on lead an account and follow the steps. And for him, we had to, when we got to this point, we had to rejoin. It didn't take us in right. But use your student email, the first part, and your email password, so in case you forget it. Once I figure out how to do assignments in there, it is, this may be what we'll do on Fridays. And you will have some content in here that we haven't covered yet and that you'll learn as you're having to do the game. And then there's some content that, we will cover. So, I'm just not sure what, so you have, once you click on play PsyOps, you have to, I don't know if you can see here or not, but you'll have to, log in again. Just gonna try to, you'll have to log in again with your username and password. And then I have to figure out, from this point, what we do.
Read it.
Yeah, let's try it and see what it looks like. And I'm not sure how to assign things. That's what I'm working on. Click on play for a minute. All right, so we're gonna stop right there. So, when it comes on, so if you're used to playing video games, you would choose one of those. If you've never played a video game, sort of like me, I would do I'm new to video games, or I like games, but I'm new to whatever this is, strategy type games. So you'd have to choose one of those to get your experience. Yeah, uh-uh. And so it comes up with a nice little comic strip there that you read the information about. We're not gonna do that right now. And then it'll take you into the game. And like I said, I don't know how to tell you how far to go yet. So I've got to play around with it, but I wanted to make sure we could get in. So I don't know how we get out of here. Let's see if we do that.
No, it's not meant, it's not how I do.
Well, and what about, there we go. And then, I don't want to log out, you know?
This is it out.
All right, I guess close out of it, I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna be playing around with that. The school system got a grant for this, learning gaming system thing, and we're gonna be trying it out. All right, so we've done the bell ringer. We're gonna actually do some classifying matter notes. So if you're here, I've given you them on paper, but if you would like to follow along and just do it, on the computer, I have it under here with the PowerPoint. Now, I did realize that my notes leave the last two slides out. And so when you get down to summary, you're gonna put that information down here. You're not gonna do what that says, but you're gonna put the missing notes there. So if you wanna fill in, you can just, on your computer, do this part, and I'll have this up large up here. We're gonna bypass the vocabulary here. So I'm gonna scoot down to slide 7. And we're gonna start just, looking at matter.
He's asking me to authorize.
Yes, I don't know why, I need to find out, every time you open a CAMI, it's making you authorize, and I don't know why. All right, so matter, hopefully this is a review. You should have had this in middle school at some point, maybe even as far back as elementary. So matter is anything that takes up space and has mass. Take up space is volume. You may have learned it as volume and has mass. So matter, we classify it as two ways. We classify it as a substance or as a mixture. A substance is everything is identical. So if I have a bottle of water, that is a substance. We usually call it a pure substance. It is what everything in it is the same. If I go and I add a Kool-Aid packet to that bottle of water, I no longer have a pure substance. I have a mixture because they are in variable composition. Their composition is not fixed. I could physically unmix those if I let the water evaporate. I would have the sort of a film of that powder left in the bottle. It wouldn't be identical to what it was originally, but it would still be there. So substance is pure. It would take chemical means to actually separate it, where a mixture is usually pretty simple to separate.
Mixture. Two.
All right.
I'm not, oh,
Oh, physically and then variable. Oops, too far. So under substance, we have two types of pure substances. One is an element. It's the simplest form, and we use it to make up more complex substances. These elements are listed on the periodic table right here. We have a whole periodic table. They're going to be listed here. I'll be giving you a printout if you're face-to-face to keep of the periodic table. And I'll put a link to it in Canvas for those that need it at home. But we're going to have to know how to use the periodic table. And so an element is composed of atoms that are all the same, that are alike. So in helium, all the atoms that make up the element helium are the same. So atoms are like the building block, and if they are the same, they make up an element. An element can exist in one of two ways. It can exist by itself as an individual atom if it is stable. So if on the periodic table, if it's in this last column, it will exist by itself. So that is like helium, argon, neon. This is called monatomic elements because it is one.
I don't see the classic individual.
Yeah, individual. And then you have elements like oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen. They cannot exist by themselves. They have to be combined or bound to another atom. If they are bound to themselves, so two atoms of oxygen bound together like this picture, they are called diatomic. So they are not as stable, or they're stable when they're two atoms of themselves bonded together. So if you see a picture of a single circle, that's an element. If the circle is shaded the same or the same color, it's going to be also an element because they're all identical. Then we have compounds. That's the other type of pure substance. If we take two or more elements and we chemically combine them, and they're going to be in a fixed proportion, we have a pure substance. So these can be broken down, but only through chemical means, by chemical reactions. And the properties that this new substance has is going to be different from the elements that make it up. Take table salt, which is an example, NaCl. Sodium, Na, is here on the periodic table. It's in the first column, and it is a very soft, silvery metal, very reactive. You have chlorine in the next to the last column. It's a gas and it's poisonous. But when they combine together to create table salt, we get our seasoning that we use on food. So it's no longer bad for us. Water, and then we have sugar there. All of those are examples of compounds. They're made up of two or more elements that are chemically bound together in a fixed proportion. So on your notes, it would be
different than the
two, and then more chemically
fixed
fixed.
chemical reaction.
All right, can be broken down, but only by chemical reactions, have properties different than the elements.
That make them not
And then the difference is next, difference between an element and a compound. An element is just one substance, simplest form of that substance. So here's an example of oxygen. Oxygen, to exist in the air around us, it has to be bound to something else or to itself. So O2 is oxygen gas. It's considered an element because that's the only atom that's in there. Compounds are going to be two or more elements chemically combined, like carbon dioxide. Here, hold on, yeah. Here we have circles that are touching each other, showing that they're bound together. They're two different colors. So that is showing a compound. They're not the same thing. Now, mixtures, we can break them down into two categories as well. So, homogeneous mixtures, these are evenly distributed. And it would take, you have to look at it through a microscope to see that they're evenly distributed. These are things like lemonade, bleach, coffee. So homogeneous mixtures is when one substance is dissolved in another, and we call these, another name for them is solutions. So solutions and homogeneous mixtures are one and the same. They will look like they're blended. So bleach is actually a mixture, a homogeneous mixture. Lemonade, blood, coffee, those are examples. These do not settle out. If it's a homogeneous mixture, it will not settle out. Some things, if you let sit over time, particles will settle to the bottom, and that does not happen with homogeneous mixture.
Right.
Heterogeneous mixtures, these are the ones that are like your Italian salad dressing that you have to shake up, and then if you let it sit, and eventually everything separates out. So they're not evenly spread out. And so you can, typically you can see the different components, but some things like paint, you can't see the different components until it's set for a while and it's separated out. So you always stir your paint before you use it because it tends to, the substances separate out.
Why is there cereal in there?
Huh?
Why is there cereal in there?
Because each one of those is different. You can see that they're different.
Different colors?
Yeah.
We had cereal, wasn't it?
And so those are some, you can see the individual pieces. Tossed salad is another good example of heterogeneous. You can see the different pizza. You can see the cheese, the sauce, the pepperoni. That would be heterogeneous. Peanut butter, depending on the brand, sometimes if you let it sit, it gets some oil that shows on top, and that is just it's settling out. And so you have to mix it up, especially if it's a natural peanut butter.
Sour cream too, because it's like white.
Yeah, sour cream. All right, so homogeneous, evenly distributed. If we drew a picture of it, we would probably have how these are kind of spaced out evenly, about the same number. So this one could be an example of salt water. You have your salt molecules here, you have your water molecules here. So they're going to have an even distribution. Heterogeneous is going to be an uneven distribution. Hetero means different, homo means same. So in here, you can see lots of different things here. So it's kind of uneven. You don't have close to the same number. So those are kind of some examples. Now, this is the part that's not on there. So in the section where it says summary, right below those two little pictures, you're just going to type, I'm going to tell you what to type in there. The first thing, I want you to type the definition of a colloid and put the examples. So you're going to say small particles remain dispersed throughout the mixture. So heterogeneous mixtures can be divided into two types. You can have colloids, and colloids, a lot of times we want to confuse them with homogeneous mixtures because they're evenly mixed, but the particles are a lot larger, these small particles are, and they actually doesn't allow light to reflect. When light hits those particles, the light scatters. And here's the examples: fog, milk, humid or dusty air. If you've ever seen has lights come through the window at your house and you can see some particles floating, that would be an example. We're able to see the particles because the light is reflecting off of it or bouncing off of it. So a colloid is one type of heterogeneous mixture. So you just need the definition and you need the examples. Mayonnaise is another example. And then you're going to add the next one, which is suspensions. You got that?
Yeah.
All right, so then we're going to add the second type of heterogeneous, not homogeneous, mixture is a suspension. And you could just say large particles will settle out of the mixture. So you can shorten it. So a lot of times in a suspension, they usually have to be shaken to mix. If you let it sit, the larger particles will sink to the bottom. This is like oil and water, sand and water, muddy water, your Italian salad dressing, and so forth. So don't confuse something that may appear to be the same throughout. If it settles and particles settle out to the bottom, it is not homogeneous. It would be a suspension, which is a part of heterogeneous. I think
That's it.
that is the. One more thing. So did you get that?
Yes.
Okay. The last term, Tyndall effect, right here. It is the scattering of light by mixture. And this is occurs in colloids and suspensions. So this is why it is not a homogeneous mixture. I look at it as light has a hard time traveling through these substances because they'll hit a particle and the light then bounces to another direction. And that is the Tyndall effect. So if it has the Tyndall effect, it is going to be a colloid or suspension. It will not be a homogeneous mixture. And that'll be the last thing that you put on your notes. And then you can submit the notes. So you can submit those. And I'm going to get out of here. And if we go back to modules, and I'm back in teacher mode, not student, that's okay. We have a video and then a classifying matter. So I want to talk about the classifying matter worksheet first. There's two parts. And you can decide if you want to do it on the computer or if you want to do it on paper. There's a chart here that's going to be a little more difficult to complete. So I'm going to see if I can find it. And we may just do this part together.
Yeah.
So it'll be on the video for those that need to see it. I just have to get it up so I can write on it.
Why is there can be in right there?
Because I just did that in the last class. Physical science. Matter. And. Let me find it.
Right there.
Thank you. So if I open it up in Kimmy, then I can write on it if I can find my nice little writing tool that I keep moving.
I don't know.
Let me get this one.
Hmm.
Yeah, I have it on the-
I'll have one.
Well, I'll get it on. Let's see if I can do it with this.
Probably not.
Oh, yeah. All right, so if you look down here at the bottom, if it is a rectangle, it's going to be like a vocabulary word. What this means is like oh, it's not going to be typed. Oh, it must take from wrong. This is going to be like a vocab. That's going to be like a vocab word.
Yeah.
Connecting phrases is going to be a way to connect the terms. So I'm going to just start typing in a minute up here in text boxes. So if we come up here, and if you use the PowerPoint I gave, or I went over,
Just change.
you will notice there's already there it is. There's already something typed in for the first one.
Candy.
So I'm gonna come over
Oh,
here.
it says it's candy.
I'm gonna come sit over this. I'm gonna sit right here so we can talk through this and I can type. A mouse. So when you open this up, yours will already have something. So if it is an oval or if it's a rectangle that has a rounded side like this, we are going to get a connecting phrase.
Candy.
So here I suggested in my last class maybe can be. So it'd be like you was reading it. Matter can be, I guess, a mixture, or can be mixtures, or they can be what? What was the other thing besides mixtures?
Oh, I don't remember.
So you can go back here. If we go back,
I can't get to that.
previous, we'll take you back one.
I'll take you back two. Let's take you back one first 5 minutes. The video.
So if you look in the PowerPoint, and remember I'm gonna go down to 7. What is the other? Mixture and
Substance.
substance. So we're going to, way over here, we're gonna put substance here. So if you want to make that a little bit bigger, you can, you don't have to. And you're gonna type substance. All right, so matter can be mixtures, matter can be, I'm gonna add a there, a substance. All right, so now I'm gonna deal with substances first because I'm gonna keep going back to my PowerPoint. We've got compounds. What was the other example besides compounds? So if we keep going, so element, and then we have compound, right? So we're gonna put in that blank. Here, we're going to put element, because that is the second type. Whoops.
What'd
And
you do?
I pressed the key I don't need to press, trying to back up. And element. Now, I'm going to think of connecting. So, substances. So how can I connect substance to element? I could put one type if I wanted to. Or if I go back and look at element, maybe I want to use part of the definition here that says simplest form. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say a substance. All right, the simplest form is and then it's element. Well, if that's the simplest form, then what is a compound? Let's go back and look. Compound is going to be two or more elements. So it's a substance that's in a fixed proportion. That's the key word I was looking for. So a substance that is in a fixed proportion is or are compounds. So these boxes I'm connecting. So if I were reading straight down, matter can be a substance. The simplest form is an element, or a substance that is in a fixed proportion are compounds. We're going to put examples in a minute, but I'm going to come on down here. We have atom. So let's go back to element, and I'm going to go back one more. All right, atoms right here. All atoms that make up an element are what? Alike. So, we could say elements are made up of like atoms. Compounds, we know that they're made up of, they say two or more elements, made up of two or more. Then I come down here, and that has to be the word element. Yeah. It's fine. All right, then we can put examples. So again, you can get your examples from here. So if we go one more slide over, we get element examples. So you're going to type, you can type helium, argon, neon, oxygen, nitrogen, or hydrogen. So you can pick from those. So helium, argon, neon. So if I come over here, I can type helium, argon, neon. Then we have oxygen and nitrogen. All right, and then compounds, and I remember these from the slide, they gave us water. Oops, it's a big click if you start typing. Water, they gave us salt, and they gave us sugar. So you don't have to fill all those in, but I've just pulled them straight from the PowerPoint slideshow. So, something in my mask, my nose itch. Woo. It's tickling me. All right. So now we have mixtures. So if we go back here and go to mixtures, we have, two types of mixtures. We have homogeneous and heterogeneous. So those are the terms that's going to go in our rectangle. So I'm going to put homogeneous, and I'm going to put heterogeneous. And then I need connecting words. All right, so mixtures, and I'm going to say that are evenly distributed, are homogeneous. And I pulled that from the PowerPoint. And mixtures that are not evenly distributed are heterogeneous. And then you would go back and look on the PowerPoint, but I remember them, so I'm just going to type them. They had lemonade. They had bleach. I say I wasn't going to get back. One more. That's heterogeneous. And back up. And coffee.
Blood and coffee.
Yeah. I don't like blood being used there because blood really is, has some particles suspended in it. And so I don't like the fact that they have put blood there. So here, heterogeneous, we're going to have things like salad dressing. We're going to have paint. They had peanut butter. Milk. That's enough. You could put trail mix. Trail mix is always a good one. So those are your examples. So that's the first part. We did that together. Now the second part, you're going to work on your own. So let me give you the instructions. So tables, these, notice right here, you are going to decide if they are a substance, or a mixture. So if they are a substance, you can't separate it out. It's all one thing. If it is a mixture, it's either going to settle out or you can see individual parts. Part two, is it an element? So can it be found on the periodic table? It's an E. If it's more than two or more elements combined together, it's going to be a compound. All right? Here, homogeneous is going to look like lemonade. It'll be HO. Or heterogeneous is going to be HE if you can see the individual pieces or it can settle out. Then you're going to put it all together for this one. So you're going to have some elements, you're going to have some compounds, you're going to have some homogeneous mixtures and some heterogeneous mixtures. Now down here, you've got these pictures, and I would just go back to the slideshow and look. You're going to use all of these. Well, one you will not use. Some of them you're going to use more than once. Some will be used more than once. So which picture represents just an element? Which represents just a compound? Which represents a mixture of elements? Which represents a mixture of, and which has,
Somebody just popped on that thing.
okay, and which has a,
It was something to do. Guy.
yeah. And which has a mixture of elements and compounds. So you're going to choose from these. Remember, one of them you will not use. Some of them you're going to use more than once. When you complete that, you're going to submit. The only other thing that you're going to do for today is there's a video. So the rest of the time is to work on that. And do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. So you're going to do the video here and finish up this worksheet. Do you have any questions, Ariana? I know that you may not be able to hear me well, but you can come back and listen to the video.
No, I don't have no question.
Okay. The video, I'm going to add something right under bell ringer, and I'll have the video up there if you need to go back and look at it to fill in that one worksheet.
Okay.
Okay?
All
You're
right.
welcome. You're welcome to sign off because I'm done with the lesson part.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.